Yeah, it all started when I was about 7 years old. It's the same story as everyone else. You know, you find that one iconic match that just drags you into it, and then you're sucked in forever. You know, for a lot of people, it was Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. It was Hogan and Andre. It was Austin and Rock. And for me, it was no different. The second I saw Living Dead Girl versus Christy Lynn, I was hooked. You know, you had the electric crowd, the back and forth, the shock ending, the twist. It was just something I had never seen before, and from that moment forward, I knew that this was what I cared about. So using the shittest internet service provider of all time, I went on and I looked up all the tapes. I was going to learn all the moves. You know, I looked up all the iconic rivalries that has ever happened, and I wasn't going to do it, you know, the proper way through training schools, because training schools are for pussies. I was going to become the king of the underground. I was going to do backyard wrestling. And I did. I set up my own wrestling promotion. Super hardcore international intensity. And I sent out tapes to people and they'd be like, this is shit. And I was like, this is shit. So I'm assuming they were into it. But anyway, people would say, you know, I was stiff or an unsafe worker. But I kept going, and eventually I got that all-important title match. Me versus Billy from 4th class for the undisputed shit world championship. Bought for €20 in Smith's. This was the height of backyard wrestling prestige. I wasn't taking any risks, so I went straight in and I went for that WMD Big Show punch. And he started crying and his nose was bleeding. And then his dad ran out and gave him the title by a DQ. And that was it for me. I retired. I couldn't be dealing with that sort of shit. But I kept training for all the real life scenarios in which I may use professional wrestling. You know, like when you get robbed out on the street, you can Irish whip the robber and he'll keep going until he hits something. If, you know, you see Billy from 4th class with his title out on the road, you can squeeze his head like the Great Khali until he dies. If you're out, you know, if you're in school, for example, and you get surrounded by bullies, and this actually happened, I just turned around to them and I said, grab my dick. To which they just laughed and walked off. And they may have laughed, but they walked off because they knew what I was capable of. Or so I thought. One day, Sky Sports do a report on Great Balls of Fire because it was Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe won the biggest fights of the year, when Kieran commented, it's fake. And I didn't really know what he meant by that, but 15 likes, you know, you can't help but, you know, open your eyes a little bit. It catches your attention. That many people seem to care about the it's fake comment, and I didn't know what he meant. And then I noticed that Tom said wrestling is fakey, and again it caught my attention. I kept scrolling. Then it was Michael that says, Sky Sports, why are you doing reports on wrestling? It's staged and so technically not a sport. And at this point I started to panic, and I scrolled down even further and I encountered John's comment. Sky should not be promoting this as sport. It's a scripted soap opera on steroids with rehearsed and scripted content designed for the dumb and stupid who are prepared to pay silly money for a fake show. And then I realised everything that I had ever known, everything that I had trained towards, everything was just fake. I couldn't believe it, do you know what I mean? Like, how... I always assumed that MMA was fake, do you know what I mean? Because if it was a real fight in a cage, why don't they do any flips off the top? And why don't they try to escape the cage and get the win? You know, that still confuses me today, but the fact that pro wrestling wasn't real, it's something that I had a lot of trouble coping with. It's a slow step to recovery, but I think I'm getting there, you know. Now I only play real sport, you know, like bowling, golf, football, and of course the main one, which is cheese rolling. That is probably the main one that fills the void that wrestling has left behind. And of course I only watch documentaries now, like Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead, because any other forms of entertainment, you know, like action movies, comedy movies, pretty much any movie in general, they're all fake, which means I can't watch them. It's just not happening. I've also been to numerous support groups, so hopefully with your continued help and support, we could... Hang on. Bobby George Jr. is coming in September. Oh, fucking class.